Welcome to News with a View, hosted by me, John A. Costa. This is a conservative leading podcast, but I do take facts into making my comments on the news. I'm a conservative. I'm a Republican, not a MAGA. I'm a Federalist. The wonderful thing is Democrats can be Federalists too. It's not a bad thing. Today is April 21st, 2026. This is episode 56 of my year's playlist. I want to thank everyone that has been following me and, of course, new members and new subscribers. I appreciate it. Appreciate it here on YouTube. I appreciate it on Facebook, and I appreciate it on rumble.com. Lots in the news today. Again, I'm continuing because I can't help it. The Democrats are just giving me so much material in their craziness, and it really is bizarre. Just bizarre comments. And it's not even like, where you could say, Trump says bizarre things, or he says, controversial and inflammatory things, which sometimes he does do. But these are pretty steadfast people, except, well, not really. But now Cory Booker, who has always been a very passionate speaker, Democrat from New Jersey, senator, had some ambitious runs and, gets up there and, it's a lot of votes in that state, a lot of Democrats, a lot of money. And he came out the other day while speaking in Detroit, and he really went off the rails. I mean, I don't know where he was going with this. I saw it the other day, and it was all after I had did my other show, and I'm like, all right, this is going to go into tomorrow's show. He's at this speech. He gets up, and it was a hooray for us Democrat type of thing. And he gets up there and he starts screaming about how we need foot soldiers to take to the streets. To stand up to against darkness and stand up for democracy. A storm in our nation. Foot soldiers willing to stand up. I mean, what do you mean foot soldiers? I mean, I understand you could protest, and that's fine, as long as it's peaceful and it's, within the boundaries of the law. Go out there, But his was more agitating, threatening. And there were even people around him that were like, what's going on with this guy? There is no darkness. Absolutely no darkness in America. If anything, it's light. We are a beacon of light. Why are people willing to risk their lives, their families' lives, to get here? If there is a darkness in America, there is no darkness. And it's that type of crazy stunts being used by the Democrats. And again, it's hard for me to call them Democrats anymore. I will just say leftists. And the Democrats are leftist. That they would use an opportunity like they have to really strike up agitators. To what point? What darkness are we talking about? Oh, everything Trump does is darkness. Yeah, of course. We know that, right? He's rewritten the laws of the land, right? He has rewritten the words for ICE, right? He has rewritten the Constitution, right? Trump has taken all our rights away from us, right? Not one thing has changed in the Constitution. Not one right has been taken away from anyone by Trump. Nothing. If anything, he's exposing fraud. He's exposing people that are saying some pretty wild things out there against America. I'm not all, rah, rah, rah for our side. We can't do anything wrong. No, that would be foolish. But to hear Cory Booker speak at this conference was extremely disturbing. Now, I know Cory Booker has aspects and his sights on bigger things than being a senator, which is a pretty big thing here in America. He has presidential eyes. He wants to look forward there. And he's trying to get as much publicity, as much his name in the news. Remember the old adage, forget about the story, just get my name right in the papers for publicity. But this is really bad publicity. This is not a good look for him. Now, would he run for president? I'm sure if they pushed him, he'd run, but they're not. But it doesn't mean a Newsom or someone west of the Mississippi wouldn't look at him and go, hey, East Coast, West Coast, I need to lock up votes. Who better than a sitting senator who's been in office a while, that has some traction that people do listen to. Would he be looking at a VP spot? Is he trying to vie his way? Because if Shapiro, who in my estimation right now is the top of the list, forget Kamala Harris, forget Harris. Not going to happen, folks. She might go out there and try to be a money, she might try, but she'll never win primaries. It just won't happen. Cory Booker, he might, but it really is looking at either Newsom or Shapiro. And Newsom, I don't think, stands a chance. Shapiro has some issues coming up. And, of course, we can't forget about the governor of Illinois, who is kind of looking towards a possible, the Democrats are looking at him as possible someone who would go after, J.D. Vance, who will be classified, Trump 2.0 or whatever. They'll do all that, and that's what happens in elections, and I get that. And each one of these people now have to be as progressive and as left as the other guy. I know he's left. I'm even more left. I don't think that's going to work. It didn't work in 2024. It's certainly not going to work in 2026 or 2028. You have them saying, a storm in our nation. What storm? Following our laws? That's a storm. Cracking down on illegal immigration? That's a storm? No, Senator Booker, that's the law. Now, you could not like where the administration is going, and you can look at that, and that is certainly, in your right to do. But to call it darkness, it's not darkness. It's following the law. Nothing has changed. Well, I won't say nothing has changed. You know what has changed? Is the laws are being enforced. And this really bothers the Democrats. Bothers the hell out of them. And you could see by the rhetoric that's going on. And he is saying that, America needs a new deal. Talking like FDR, We need a new dream in America. And that is the problem again with the Democrats. The Democrats are using terrible, terrible slogans. We need new dreams. Well, dreams are just dreams. Now, you can say, well, action, his putting foot soldiers out, is the action. No. What you need are solutions to the problems facing America. And those problems today facing America, 16 years of Democratic rule in this country. In the last 20 years, 16 of those years have been Democrats. So, we need a new dream because the Democrats have failed. Trump didn't fail. But what you're telling me, Senator Booker, is that for 16 years, you guys have done nothing but fail. And now we need a dream to lead us forward. It's stupid. You have to say, hey, the path that we took for 16 years hasn't worked. We tried, it didn't work. It did not work. So this is the new path that I see for us to take. And you're not going to do that because you'd have to admit that you had a fail and you were part of that failure. And you weren't a small part. You were a senator, not a small part. It's not a good look. Come up with a different slogan. Why don't you come out and say, fix America now? You can't say America is not a beacon and there's a darkness here because people are flowing here. We're not a darkness. We're a light. And you could turn around and go, yes, this is a beacon, but we want that light to shine on everyone. And we want people to come here because of that light and be part of that light so they could shine on to other people. That would be a good way to go. But you have to come here legally. And you just can't say, well, we're going to take the door off the hinges and just let them come in, and that's them coming in legally. You can't do that. That's not what the law says. You want to change that law? You go have at it. And this is what the Democrats are actually trying to do through defunding Department of Homeland Security. Is just take the door off the hinge and let people come in. No border protection, no anything. That is the Democrats' way of fixing immigration. You don't believe me? Just look at what they're saying. Senator Schumer gets on his little podium and goes, how did we get to this spot? The DHS shutdown. Why are we here? There's been no policy change. Same policies that are being followed by DHS right now is the same policies that were followed by Biden. The same basic policies of Obama and, of course, President Trump. Nothing has changed. Well, there's shootings and killings that there were 34 from Obama to Biden. Killing by ICE agents. But the enforcement by ICE was not anywhere close to the enforcement that is now being taken by the Trump administration. And by that, I'm saying your chances of running into bad guys is exponential. The more you go out, the more people you send out looking, is the more trouble you will find in our immigration. And the Democrats, with Republicans looking the other way and not standing up to the Democrats, allowed these people to come in, catch and release, and then blend in to the general population. So you hide them in plain sight. And the only way you can find them is by going, excuse me. Because we don't know who came in through the legal channels and who has not. And that's it in a nutshell. And you have Schumer going, we're going to blame the Republicans here. No. 16 years of Democratic oversight. 16 years, Chuck, you were there. No peep about it failing. No peep about anything, not working, right? Well, we don't have an immigration. There's no border problem going on. Of course there was no border problem, because to you didn't have a border. To have a border, you'd have to have then laws, and we have them, we're just not enforcing them. So when I hear Chuck Schumer say, how did we get here? Well, listen, if you're blind, let me put this into Braille for you, and maybe you can figure it out. Because even Helen Keller could see how we got here. We got here where we are is because of the failed policies of the Democrats. 16 years, folks. Deny it. 16 years. So when you have a Cory Booker and you have a Chuck Schumer and you have a Jamie Raskin, who Jamie Raskin, the Democrats screaming that we want a 30-panel made up of both Republicans and Democrats. We'll never be made up of 15 and 15 or 10 and 10 or 5 and 5. But here's the thing, Congressman, Representative Raskin, is that we have a 25th Amendment that states exactly how it works. And you don't like it. But you never exercised that when Biden was stumbling and Biden was really having a bad time. I never questioned that. Biden was fantastic. What a great guy. Never seen him fitter, right? Pelosi and Schumer and Schiff. And then later on, well, we secretly told him. Well, what secretly? Why didn't you tell the American public? Why didn't you get up there and go, listen, we don't think this guy should be running? You didn't. You put party first. We keep hearing all that nonsense. We keep hearing, oh, Trump, you can't put the party first. Well, you put the party first over America. And then you people you drank your Kool-Aid. You believed what you were saying. That, Biden's going to go up there. He's going to decimate Trump during the debate. And boy, what a wake-up call, huh? And then, every time, he's tired. He's old. He's this. Well, then maybe he shouldn't be president. Well, Trump is Trump is up there working, 19, 20 hours a day. And I realize you got some 100-year-olds that are sharp as a tack, and you got some 60-year-olds that, shouldn't be driving a car. I get that. And Joe Biden falls into that somewhere. He served his country. Well, I didn't like his politics, but he served. And, he shouldn't have gone out in the manner he went out in. They just buried. You don't even hear from Joe Biden anymore. He signed all these deals. He was going to go out, and they go, you're not going to say a freaking word, pal. The Democrats shut him down because he's an embarrassment. And not because he has dementia. That's not that's not an embarrassment. That's a condition. It'd be like making fun of someone who had cancer. You don't do that. That's not right. But you have to admit when these people can't function anymore and go, can't have you here. Can't have you here. You wouldn't allow a doctor who had Alzheimer's disease to go and do brain surgery. Why would you let them literally have control of the destiny of the world? Why did they do that with Biden, who we saw was just out of his mind, and through no fault of his? None. I'm not blaming Biden. I'll blame Jill Biden for not stepping in and going, hey, you can't do this to my husband. He's not well. And they didn't. They lied to America. And then when they anointed Harris, they lied to America. This is the party, honestly, of lies. You could say the Republicans are the party of, using the letter of the law and focusing on the immigrants, where the real problem could be drugs, the real problem could be something else, but they're looking here. You could make that argument. And I go, all right, now show me the proof with that. And, you wouldn't be able to, but you could always use that as something to fall on. What are the Democrats' values right now? Letting men who say they're girls play on a girl team. Why have girls sports then? Just call it sports. Why would you have girls basketball? How do you define a woman? This is the contradiction. This is the constant contradiction of the left. It doesn't make sense. You guys are not making sense. You went towards a failed position in 2024, and now you're going more towards that way and thinking that's going to get you a win. I don't know. You guys just are really out of tune and just not seeing what's really happening around you. And you have the media right there with you again. Every article in MSN is look at what happened. Oh, this is going on in Iran. They're going to use secret weapons against us. They haven't, there's another, the Iranians said, we have more cards to play here. And stroking fears why would Iran wait till their military was 90% degraded to go, all right, now roll out the secret weapon? Come on. Come on, guys. Come on, media. And you see most of this stuff being put on Yahoo and MS and CNN, on their pages. And they're all from foreign countries. The news, BBC, some, Nigerian, press. And they do that. That's done by these liberals in the media who go, oh, that's not us doing. We're just reporting what they're saying. So it's not us. But they're using their platform. I'm going to tell you guys, anyone who's listening, those platforms, you should, anytime you see one of these advertisers pop up, as they always do, you should write to them, email them, call their 800 numbers. Tell them, I'm not buying your product because you're sponsoring this stuff. Doesn't cost you a dime, folks, to do. And it's easy to do. And I guarantee you'll get a response back from them. Because I do. And some are, well, that's our belief, or that's, we don't have a say. Yeah, you have a say. You absolutely have a say. I'm not going to pay Yahoo to put my ad up there. I'll find someone else to put it up. But I'm not going to give Yahoo money. And I'm not going to have my company follow a story about how, 6-year-olds should be going into the bathroom with men. 6-year-old girls should be in a bathroom with adult men. And that's perfectly fine. Because this is what this is going to come down to very shortly. The race is on. The midterms are on. And you're already starting to see the language changing and the approach taken by the GOP. And you guys are not going to have a good look, Democrats. Not a good look at all. Chris Murphy, Connecticut, Democratic senator from Connecticut, on X stated that it was awesome that 26 Iranian ships ran the gauntlet and got through the American blockade. The problem is that 26 ships have not run any gauntlet. And all Chris Murphy is doing is trying to support a terrorist regime. And this is the other factor that Democrats are going to have to own, is like Tim Walz, who was in Spain telling everyone that Iran wasn't a threat. Why America should never have attacked Iran. They weren't a threat. Really, Iran was not a threat. 47 years. And this is the problem. You Democrats are going to own this come November. You're going to own it, and it's going to come back at you. And you'll all be sitting around again. How couldn't we? Well, how couldn't we take back the House? How could we not flip the Senate? How could we not do this? And you know why? It's because of white males. That's the problem. They're misogynists. They're racists. They're uneducated. They're stupid. You wait and see. You wait and see. They'll go to their old playbook with that, and they'll be throwing that around when the numbers that they keep saying, oh, you know, we're going to do this. You know, just like they said, Harris was going to take Texas and Iowa, and she was going to turn Florida, and she was going to take all the swing states. She was going to have 397 electoral college votes. Why even vote? Why even go out? She's going to win it. And everyone's looking and going, all these people are showing up to Trump rallies. All these people are doing this, and the Democrats are not even getting an inkling, not even getting a tenth of what Trump is getting. And yet, you know, and they're going, well, they don't have to because we know that they're sitting, we don't need to have a rah-rah team. We know. And Harris was, you know, the Democrats were crushed. And you have a Chris Murphy, who has been an outspoken critic of the Trump administration. You know, as not so much Cory Booker in the sense that Cory Booker was smarter at it. He didn't have to agree with them. He didn't have to be, you know, rabid about it. Much smarter guy than Chris Murphy. And Schumer is just out of his, out of it. And Tim Walz, why would the Democrats take the poster boy for fraud and have him go out and push the Democratic ideology? Anyone really going to take Tim Walz seriously? A guy who said, yeah, I know all this fraud happened under my watch, and I do take responsibility. The buck stops with me. And, you know, then one question, were you told about it? Yeah, we were told about it, but we couldn't believe it because we're such a nice state and nice people. We couldn't believe anyone was going to take advantage of us. Well, that was his excuse. I mean, we haven't heard what Gavin Newsom's excuse is. Just like, you know, how soon everyone forget Gavin Newsom. No, you have to stay in your homes. No, you can't work. No, you have to wear a mask. You can't do this. Or Pelosi, you can't. Nope, absolutely not. We have to do this. But I have to get my hair done, so I'm going to make an exception. Gavin Newsom, well, my friends are having parties, so I'm going to make the exception. Right? You think we're going to forget that? You don't think that's going to come up and bump you? And you're going to have some Democrats going, hey, I wasn't even part of that then. This is me now. You know what? Birds of the feather, right? All Republicans are MAGA, right? Just asking, Democrats. I'm asking you, Bob in New York, which I did get your message last night, and thank you for getting back to me because I was worried about you. You see where the contradictions come into play. Where the Republicans are going, no, we have a policy, we have laws, we're doing it. And they go, well, Trump, he convicted felon. Well, that's all going away, and we knew that was all going to go away. And anyone with any type of legal sense knew that it was, Letitia James came out and said, I just bring me the person and I'll find the crime that he did. I mean, this is the type of thing where it was, I don't care about this person, I don't care, I'm going after you. You can't do that. You can't do that. We know what this was, and the courts know what it is. And that is all disappearing. The court saw what was going on in Georgia with Trump. He didn't go create me 11,000 votes. He said, I know they're out there. You go find them. He didn't say create them. He didn't do anything wrong. Now, I will say that people pretending to be election officials, I don't like that. You can't be something you're not. So in those cases, hey, right is right, wrong is wrong. It should transcend political lines and colors. It should not be. It should not be. I think that the Democrats have a lot more mud on them than the Republicans have. And, are there sleazy Republicans? Sure, of course there are. You don't get into politics. Very few of these people went in there as a noble cause. And had true convictions of what they wanted to do. I'd say Jimmy Carter, he was. He was, naive. And America might have liked that at that point. We saw what happened when, you had people sitting in there, Tricky Dicky and, everyone else, and you saw what was going on, and you go, well, maybe I'll take naive. And then you had Iran. And, and believe me, the Shah of Iran was no angel. But he was our angel. And he wasn't saying, I'm going to blow up the world. So I think the Democrats have a lot of, there's going to be a revamping in 2027 of the Democratic brand. It has to be, or they'll be out of business. Right now, the Democrats are the Sears Roebuck or the J.C. Penney. And your Republicans are Amazon. So how many J.C. Penney's are around today? How many Sears are around today? How's Amazon doing? There's your parallels. And I think that the Democrats need to reassess themselves And I said that after they lost in 2024. Don't say a word. Go out there. America has spoken. You know, sit back and wait till after February 20th. I'm sorry, January 20th to start it. Now you have from November and December and January to regroup, let it all settle in, and keep the rhetoric to a minimum. And they didn't do it. They doubled down. And Trump loves a good fight. And you gave him a good fight. And foolish that you didn't know the animal you were dealing with. And you went into that cage going, this be a cake, this is a cakewalk. Yeah. How's your icing doing on your cake? Not good. You had the pudding knocked out of you. All right. 40 minutes, that's about as much as I wanted to go today. I'll be editing this out and getting this out very quickly because I'm not doing any long-winded segments in between it and comments and stuff. It's just going to be my opening brand on my playlist and a quick little short going out today, attracting new subscribers. I want to thank everyone again. Please, everyone, be safe. Please think of giving to a charity and a charity of your choosing. You go to that charity. Don't have them go to you. Check them out. Don't become a victim trying to help a victim. If you don't feel like doing that, please think about doing go to a food bank and donate food and donate money. They need money so they can address things happening right then and there in front of them. And it helps locally, and you could actually see it. No judgment, because a child didn't do anything wrong, who might be hungry, or might need clothes, or might need shelter, or might need someone to talk with. And a lot of these groups offer that. Think about that. Say a prayer. Prayer works. Absolutely, prayer works. And with that, I'm going to say good night. And I shall catch you later. Just as a side note, on the 26th of April in Socrates, South Carolina, at Socrates Station, right off the 707, if you're familiar and you're watching this, and I do have some people in South Carolina right near me that watch this. There's a charity event for Under the Wings of an Angel, which helps deliver food to the needy and helps people sometimes even with their utility bills or fix their furnace or whatever. It's a great cause. Socrates Station from 12 noon to 4 p.m. $10 donation. You get spaghetti and meatball dinner. It's a nice time. They're going to have an open bar. It's cash bar. And stop in. That's on a Sunday, April 26th from 12 noon to 4 p. I'll be there. All right, everyone. Be safe, be well, as I fade to